It's because at some level, all humans are broad. We're all multivariate, but we get summarized in pithy ways in our lives. And at some deep level, we know that's not true, right? Every human basically is capable of every experience and every thought. You're a UFC comedian, commentator, podcaster, but you're also more than that. You're also father, lover, thinker, etc. So I like the model of life that the ancients had, the Greeks, the Romans, right? Where you would start out and when you're young, you're just like going to school, then you're going to war, then you're running a business, then you're supposed to serve in the Senate or the government, then you become a philosopher. There's sort of this arc to life where you try your hand at everything. And as one of my friends says, specialization is for insects. Right? So everyone should just be able to do everything. And so I don't believe in this model anymore of trying to focus your life down on one thing. You've got one life, just do everything you're going to do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
There's the analogy around mountain climbing. Like if you find a mountain and you start climbing and you spend your whole life climbing it and you get, say, 2/3 of the way, and then you see the peak is like way up there, but you're 2/3 of the way up. You're still really high up. But now to go the rest of the way, you're going to have to go back down to the bottom and look for another path. Nobody wants to do that. People don't want to start over.
Yeah.
And it's the nature of later in life that you just don't have the time. So it's very painful to go back down and look for a new path, but that may be the best thing to do. And that's why when you look at the greatest artists and creators, they have this ability to start over that nobody else does. TLDR, right? Don't give me the lecture, give me the book. Don't give me the book, give me the blog post. Don't give me the blog post, give me the tweet. Don't give me the tweet. I already know.
Yeah.
I got over this idea of that reading a large number of books or reading a book to completion as a vanity metric. Because really, when people are putting up photos on Twitter, Instagram of look at my pile of books that I'm reading, it's a show-off thing. It's a signaling thing.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And the reality is I would rather read the best 100 books over and over again until I absorb them rather than read all the books.
Right.
Yeah. Desire to me is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. We like to view the world as linear, which is I'm going to put in 8 hours of work, I'm going to get back 8 hours of output, right? Doesn't work that way. The guy running the corner grocery store is working just as hard or harder than you and me. How much output is he getting? What you do, who you do it with, how you do it, way more important than how hard you work, right? Outputs are non-linear based on the quality of the work that you put in. The correct criticism of capitalism is when it does not provide equal opportunity. And so we should always strive to provide equal opportunity. But people confuse that with equal outcome. When you have equal outcome, that can only be enforced through violence because free people make different choices. And when they make different choices, they have different outcomes. And if you don't let them suffer the consequences of bad choices or reap the rewards from good choices, then you are forcibly redistributing through violence. It's interesting that there are no working socialist examples that exist without violence. You basically need someone to show up with a gun and say, okay, you're not allowed to do that. You hand this over to that person. I always liked Nassim Taleb's framing on this, where he said, with my family, I'm a communist. With my close friends, I'm a socialist. At my state level politics, I'm a Democrat. At higher levels, I'm a Republican, and at the federal level, I'm a libertarian. Right? So basically, the larger the group of people you have massed together who have different interests, the less trust there is, the more cheating there is, the better the incentives have to be aligned, the better the system has to work, the more you go towards capitalism. The modern struggle, so the ancient struggle used to be the tribal struggle. You had your tribe of friends and family, you had your religion, you had your country, you had your loyalty, you had your nationality. At least you had meaning and support, but now you would struggle against other tribes. Modern life, we're so free, everything's become atomized. We stand alone. You live in your apartment alone. You live in your house alone. Your parents don't live nearby. Your friends don't live nearby. You don't have any tribal meaning. You don't believe in religion anymore. You don't believe in country anymore. It's fine. You got a lot of freedom. It's fantastic. But now, when they come to attack you, you're alone and you can't resist. So how do they attack you? It's all well-meaning. I don't fault capitalism. I love capitalism. But look at how it happens. Social media, they've massaged all the mechanisms to addict you, like a Skinner pigeon or a rat who's just going to click, 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 can't put the phone down. Food, they've taken sugar and they've weaponized it. They've put it into all these different forms and varieties that you can't resist eating. Drugs, right? They've taken pharmaceuticals and plants and they've synthesized them. They've grown them in such a way that you get addicted. You can't put them down. Porn, right? If you're a young male, you wander around the internet, it'll like sap away your libido and you're not going out in real life society anymore because you've got this incredibly stimulating stuff coming at you. Video games, another way to addict people. So you have entire large factories of people that are working to addict you to these things, and you stand alone. So the modern struggle as an individual is learning how to resist these things in the first place, drawing your own boundaries, and there's no one there to help you.
What is the meaning of life?
I mean, I think the question is more interesting than the answer. Everyone should explore this on their own. But let me just explore a few parts with you, right? Okay. So first is, if I gave you an answer, if I said the meaning of life is to please God, well, which God? Okay, Judeo-Christian God. Well, okay, why that one? Why this thing? The problem is it's a why question. You can keep asking why forever. Right? Any answer I give you, you'll just ask why again, why again,
like
why
a little
again.
Kid.
That's right. And you end up in a place called Agrippa's trilemma. Okay, this is a philosophical exercise, but I kind of thought it through, then Googled around, and there's a thing called Agrippa's trilemma. And Agrippa's trilemma says that any questioning like this, why, will always end in one of three places. Okay, first is infinite regress, right? Why? Because of this. Why that? Why that? And just keep going forever. The second is circular reasoning. Well, A. Why A? Because of B. Well, why B? Because of A. Right? You get trapped in that. Or the third is an axiom. And the most popular axiom is God. But it could be anything because of math, because of science, because of the Big Bang, because of simulation, right? These are all axioms. These are all just stopping points. Saying simulation, we're in a simulation, or saying it's the Big Bang is just another way of saying God. It's just God's a dirty word, so we don't use it as much anymore, but same thing. So you end up in one of these three dead ends, essentially, right? So there is no answer. The real answer is because. Right?
What is the meaning of life?
Yeah, you get to make up your own answer is the beauty. If there was a single answer, we would not be free. We would be trapped. Because then we would all have to live to that answer. Then we'd be Borg-like robots, each one competing with each other to fulfill that single meaning more than the others. Back to signaling, like I'm better at it than you are. But luckily there is no answer. So you just do whatever you want.
The meaning of life. It's funny that's the basis of all existential angst. That you don't
know why you're here.
And you have this feeling that it could be meaningless.
Well, the answers to all the great questions are paradoxes.
Yeah.
So, for example, you're asking, like, do I matter? That's like really the question you asked, right? Well, how do I matter in this infinite universe? Well, on the one hand, you're separate. No 2 points are the same. Every 2 points are infinitely different. You're completely separated. No one will have your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your experience. So your life is a single player game. You're trapped inside your head and you're just aware of a bunch of things going on, and that's it. On the other hand, I cannot say the words Joe Rogan without invoking the entire universe. Joe Rogan, alien comes along, says, what's that? Joe Rogan. What's Joe Rogan? It's a human. What's a human? Bipedal ape. What's an ape on the earth? What's the earth? Planet. What's a planet? Solar system. Where was the carbon made? Inside stars, right? It's like I have to create the entire universe to just say the words Joe Rogan. So in that sense, you're connected to everything. It's inseparable. So the answer to that question of do I matter is I am nothing and I am everything. And you'll find this with all the great questions. The answers are all paradoxes, which is why at some level it's sort of pointless to pursue them. to find a trite answer like I'm giving, but the act of pursuing them is actually really useful, because then it gives you certain intrinsic understanding in your life that brings a level of peace. Confucius had a great saying that every man has two lives, and the second starts when he realizes he has just one.
Wow.
And I read that, and it was one of those book-dropping lines. It's like mic drop. Confucius had a lot of mic drops.
Confucius was a bad motherfucker.
He was.
That's a crazy one.
That was a great one. Or another one is next time you get sick, because everybody gets sick every now and then. It's like a happy person wants 10,000 things. A sick person just wants one thing, right? So it's your unlimited desires that are clouding your peace, your happiness. Have desires. You're a biological creature that stands up and says, I can do something. I move, I resist, I live. But just be very careful of your desires. This is the oldest, most trite wisdom. Desire is suffering. That's what it means, right? Every desire you have is an access where you will suffer. So just don't focus on more than one desire at a time. The universe is rigged in such a way that if you just want one thing and you focus on that, you'll get it. But everything else, you gotta let go. And one of the things I did was I said, okay, I'm never going to be worth more than what I think I'm worth. Okay, no one's going to pay me more than what I think I'm worth. So what am I worth? So I picked an hourly rate for myself that I was worth. And I said, I'm never going to squander my time for less than this. So if originally it was $500 an hour, then I upgrade to $5,000 an hour. And, it's ludicrous. But pick an aspirational hourly rate. Aspirational. It has to be a little ludicrous. And then what I would do is if I have to return something, I'm standing in line to return something and it's below my hourly rate, I'll throw it away. If I have to, or give it away. If I have to do some task and I can hire somebody to do it for less than my hourly rate, I would hire them. And so I just became extremely jealous of my time, which doesn't mean you can't have fun. Rest, leisure, spending time with your friends and family, that's all great. Don't count that. But if you're doing anything you don't want to do, which is the definition of work, it's a set of things that you have to do that you don't want to do. If you're working, it better be for your hourly rate. Otherwise, don't do the work. And so once it came out of that, then I just realized the cost of meetings. The cost of meetings is so high, especially given all the people who are in there, right? One person's talking, 7 people listening. You're literally just dying an hour at a time. So you have to just drop non-urgent meetings or figure out how to be more efficient with them if you're going to do anything great. The extreme example is business travel. Getting on a plane to fly half around the world for one meeting, which never amounts to anything, and then wasting your whole little life there and then flying back. So about 5 years ago, I resolved I am never going to travel for business.
Wow.
And I haven't traveled for business since. I only travel if the travel experience will be so entertaining and joyous because I have friends or it's a place I want to see or whatever, that it will be complete in and of itself, because I know that whatever the business meeting it came from is never worth it.
Wow.